Hey guys, welcome to the Old Ultra Runner channel. I'm your host Jay Tynert, and today I'm going to do a video on my current shoe rotation and also show you some of the shoes I have in reserve. This video was requested by one of my subscribers to this channel a week or so ago, and I let them know that I made a video like this back in early March. But I realized a lot of my shoes in my rotation have changed since then. I've retired some shoes, I've bought some new shoes, and I've changed just some of the shoes that I'm running just because of the heat of the summer. So I just thought I would make a current video, give you an idea of what I'm currently running in. This is my little shoe wall that I use. I do shoe reviews. You'll see on my channel. I'm not given any shoes. They're all shoes that I buy on my own, so I'm trying to use them up. I try to get the most miles out of them as I can. And I real often buy shoes on discount, clearance shoes that I know will work for me. So I have quite a variety of shoes anyway. So these are the trail shoes I'm running in at the moment. They're actually Altra Lone Peak 3s. They're a little bit heavier, a little more out of date. They've still got several miles in them. I'm not doing any racing right now, so I'm using the Lone Peak 3s. I'm trying to use up the rest of the mileage. So on training runs out right now, I'm using those. Now I do have a review out, another video out where I bought the Ultra Lone Peak 5s. And I have done some races in these. I've done a trail marathon in the spring, and I did a 50-miler in them. These shoes I will use as I start doing trail races in the fall. I'm just using the Lone Peak 3s up for training here in the summer, but as soon as I start doing races in the fall, I'm going to use the Lone Peak 5s. They have a little bit more responsive midsole. They have the Ego midsole, and they're about an ounce lighter per shoe. So, and they still have great traction. So I'm really enjoying the Lone Peak 5s, but I'm trying to use up the Lone Peak 3s. Next shoe that is actually new since the last video I made, I'm using the Altra Riveras. I bought them because I wanted to try them out. They're a newer shoe from Altra. They have their regular zero drop. They have 26mm stack height in the forefoot and in the heel. They have the Ego midsole. They're pretty poppy. I'm using them as an everyday trainer. Also new since the last video, I bought the Altra Torin 5s. They have the Ego Max midsole, which is a little bit softer, but still fairly responsive. They have a 28mm stack height in the heel, a 28mm stack height in the forefoot. I'm using these more for long runs and recovery days. I am planning to use these in my upcoming 48-hour race that's in 3 weeks. Another pair of shoes that I use quite often, I have, these are New Balance Beacons. These are actually version 1. I really like these shoes. In my men's size 11.5, they only come in at like 8.1 ounces. I think they're 7.3 ounces in a men's size 9. They have the New Balance Fresh Foam X or Fresh Foam cushioning. They're a little bit firmer than say what you get in the Ego midsole in the Ultras, and they're firmer than most of the Fuelcell ones that they now sell. But they work great for me. They're still very cushioned. They're lightweight. These are great all-around shoes. I've used these for long runs. I've used these for short runs. I actually love these shoes. This is probably my 4th or 5th pair of New Balance Beacons, and I've got another pair of New Balance Beacon 2s in reserve. I tend to buy, since I know these shoes are working for me, I've been buying them on clearance and then using them up. These I just rotate in on days when I feel like these have a 6mm drop, and I don't every day want to necessarily run in a 0-degree drop. I like varying the drop, usually between 0 and 6 for me. So these have a 6mm drop. They're very comfortable. I'll use them for long runs. These I will take as my backups just because they always work for me. I'll take them to my 48-hour races, my backup shoe. Next shoe on my wall, I've been running in the Atreyu Voyagers, their original base model. They're extremely lightweight. They're like 6 ounces, and in my men's size 11.5, they're like 6.9 ounces. They're still very comfortable. I put these on for days where I like to pick it up, and I just want a lightweight shoe on. So I've been using these. These have a 6mm drop. They're like 21.5 in the heel and 15.5 in the forefoot. But I find these very comfortable. They're a very simple upper. There's no structure to the upper. They're just a plain EVA midsole, but they do what they need to do and they work well. Next shoe that I'm using quite often is I have an older pair of Skechers Razor 2s. This was the version they had that still had an EVA midsole before they went to using, when they went to the Hyperburst midsole. These were pre-Hyperburst, but I got them on clearance. They still are very comfortable, and I'm primarily using these on days when I run on the treadmill, and they're working great. They would still work on the road. I've just got, as you see, lots of other choices for on the road, so I'm using these on the treadmill, and sometimes I'll find a discounted shoe that I'm getting for like $35, $40, and I can just get some good miles on them. So this is one like that. The other shoe I'm using, rotating in quite often, either on runs or on just doing some walking, is I still have these Merrell Bare Accesses. I think I said a while back that I had 200 miles on them. I was actually incorrect. I only had like 180. I'm now a little over 200, but I'm still using these some. I'm trying to use them up. I've done a review on XTRs, and those are their newer version that have the Vibram outsole. Well, I would say those are in reserve right now. I've got so many zero drop shoes that are already in my rotation between these, and I mean the Riveras and the Torins, and trying to use up these bare accesses, that I've kind of set the XTRs off to the side for the moment. But I will bring them back in as soon as I'm retiring some of these shoes. These won't last me that much longer, and then I am going through my Riveras pretty quickly. So as soon as those are done, I'll rotate in my Bare Access XTRs and use them. Another pair of shoes that I have in reserve, and they're kind of in the same line as the Torin 5s, in that they're a max cushion, not super heavyweight shoe. I have these Skechers Go Run Max Road 4s. I had great success running in the Max Road 2s and the Max Road 3s. These 4s came out. I was excited because they have the Hyperburst midsole. And I will say the midsole feels great, but these shoes run extremely hot. They have this heavy knit upper, and they weren't very stable. They're so tall, and because this upper is the way it is, it doesn't feel like you're very stable going around corners. So I still don't want to not use these shoes. I've got about 170 miles on them. I've set them aside for the summer because they're just too hot to run in for the summer. So I am planning to bring them back and try to use up some more of the miles on these shoes in the fall at some point. Now, I will say that I just ordered, because I love the 2s and 3s, so the Max Road 2s and the Max Road 3s so well, and I like the Hyperburst midsole, I went ahead and ordered the Max Road 5s that just came out. They have this same Hyperburst midsole, but they've gone back to an engineered mesh upper. They've also added an H plate, which is carbon infused, which is supposed to make it more stable. And they're also putting in some overlays in here, which should make it more stable too. So hopefully they're addressing my issues with the hot upper and the lack of stability. So I'm going to try, I'm buying those, even though they will probably kind of overlap in usage with the Torin 5s, and I'll be doing an unboxing review on those probably the next week. So I have that are kind of on hold. I have the Atreyu Artist, which are the carbon fiber plated shoes. Now, I wouldn't say these are totally on hold, but I'm primarily holding them for races. I've got probably 25 miles in them is all, but I'm planning to do a 5K in them later this week. And then in the fall, I'm going to do a series of 6-hour races. And I will probably, for most of those races, I will probably use my Torin 5s or the new Skechers Max Road 5s. But I'm going to probably run at least 1 or 2 of them in these Atreyus to see how the Atreyu carbon fiber shoes do in a long race. And as soon as I get to 50 miles, I'll do a full review on these shoes. The next pair of shoes I have these Innovates. These are Innovate Talon 200s. They're extremely lightweight trail shoes. I've had them for probably 4 years. I still find them very comfortable. They're very flexible. They don't have a rock plate, so they're not the greatest thing in technical rocky stuff. But they're very lightweight, so I've used these on occasion instead of my Lone Peaks, because they'll be lighter for a faster, shorter trail race, like maybe a half marathon trail race. And they also have just incredible grip. So if it's muddy outside, I'll grab these shoes and use them. I have some New Balance Fuelcell Propels that I got on clearance. The Propel ones, they're on version 2 or version 3 now. Last summer I was running the streets of Bedford and Euless, and I was doing incredible amounts of miles trying to do the great virtual race across Tennessee. So I was running like 400 miles a month or more. So I was using a lot of different daily trainers. And I found some Propels that were fairly inexpensive, and I found they work well for me as long as I don't run in them multiple days in a row. And they also get a little bit soft for me and kind of bother my ankle if I get over like 15 miles in them. But they were a great daily trainer to eat up some miles. And I got a pair on closeout for, I think I paid $35 for these. So I'm not using them right now, but I think once I start running the streets of another city and I'm eating up a lot of miles, I'm probably going to bring these in. So, and I got them at such a good deal, and they'll work for me on runs up to 15 miles. Anyway, that is it for my current shoe rotation and the current shoes I have in reserve. I hope that's somewhat useful or interesting. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you're interested in more of this content, please subscribe. That's it for me today. Thank you, and keep moving.